Check. Check this sound. Check one, two. Check one, two. Check. Audio check one, two.
Everyone are connected, everywhere and all the time. Everything and everyone are connected.
So we can hear. Yeah, I can hear myself. Yes, very.
But today, for the first time ever, I'd like to let Macintosh speak for itself.
All right. Good morning, everybody. What a fantastic week this event has been. For the folks who have been coming all of this week or multiple days this week, have you had an amazing journey this week? By applause, have you had an amazing journey this week? And I promise you, today will be no different. I want to welcome you to the final day of the 17th edition of Salt March Media's Great International Developer Summit. And as we gather on this momentous occasion, I am filled with such a sense of gratitude. You have no idea how grateful I, my colleagues who have been speaking all week are for you, the passion, the energy, the attention that you give us. It has been nothing short of extraordinary to be here at this venue with you. So thank you all so much. And for all of you investing in your own growth, in your own career, own journeys, give yourselves a round of applause. We're going to have enlightening keynotes, inspiring discussions, and you're going to continue to make those invaluable connections. And it marks the culmination of our journey for this year. We're so grateful to be a part of all of this with you. And as you know, the summit was founded back in the year 2008. And when we look back on the last 16 years, and we can look back at some of the other pivotal events that shaped the landscape, the year that Gids was born. In the year 2008, greenhouse gas levels reached an 800,000 year peak, serving as a stark reminder for the urgent need for environmental stewardship and sustainability. And at the same time, the establishment of the global seed vault in the Norwegian Arctic underscored humanity's commitment to preserving biodiversity and safeguarding the future of agriculture and food security. Now, these events not only defined a pivotal moment in history, but they also served as catalysts for change, and they inspired us to come together and address the most pressing challenges of our time. And as we get started this day at Gids 2024, let us cherish these memories that we're creating, the knowledge that we're gaining, and the connections that we are all forging. Let us carry forward the spirit of innovation, collaboration, and lifelong learning that defines this conference. So, on behalf of myself, Saltmark Media, all of the speakers, I want to thank each and every one of you for your unwavering support and participation because, like I said in the beginning, you have truly made this conference the resounding success it is, and we are all honored to share this journey with you. And I also want to thank all of our partners who've helped make this possible, because honestly, without their support, without their partnership, this just wouldn't be possible. Have a big round of applause for all of our sponsors, everybody. Our platinum sponsors, Red Hat, Freshworks, Atlassian, Zoho, Work in Finland, Salesforce, Angel One, Target, Neo4j, Google Cloud, IKEA, and AWS. Our gold sponsors, Temporal, Arsendium, Wells Fargo, EPAM Systems, Text, Tesco, and DE Shaw India. Of course, our silver sponsors, Apprise, Elastic, PingCap, Delta Technology Hub, ThoughtWorks, E2E Cloud, Couchbase, Snowflake, Goldman Sachs, and Manage Engine Site 24/7. And of course, our bronze sponsors, Cloudinary and Walmart Global Text. I'm going to take you through our schedule after we complete the first keynote, but I am so very excited to introduce our opening speaker. Now, I have known Scott for so many years, and he has truly served as an inspiration to me in the same way he has served as an inspiration to you. He has completely helped shape my ideas of the web, accessibility, and really opening my eyes to the impact that we can make with technology. Scott is a very dear friend, a visionary thinker, an inspiring speaker, and I know you are as excited as I am to hear our opening keynote. So without further ado, please give a warm welcome to our opening keynote, Mr. Scott Davis.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad you're here today. It's been quite a week, hasn't it? What a wonderful way to end the week. Now we're ready to begin. As we have been through so many talks this week, I know the first thing that most people ask you to do is to take your cell phone and turn it off and hide it and put it in a bag and stomp on it and break it to pieces. I'm going to ask you to do just the opposite, if you would, please. Would you all reach into your pocket or your purse or your bag and pull out your phone and hold it in front of your head? If you would please raise your phone up high. Thank you so much. Hold on, I'm counting for a second. 1, 2, yeah, Yes, everyone has a smartphone here with them. Some people have two. If you would please, your smartphone is esteemed guest at my keynote today. Will you please keep it out and present because you will have an opportunity to use it as I speak in my keynote today. Thank you very much. Because your smartphone is such an intrinsic part of our lives nowadays. How many of you feel that your smartphone is the first thing you look at when you wake up in the morning? Show of hands, please. For better or for worse? Yes, yes. A show of hands or show of phones, he says. How many of you look at your phone the last thing you do before you go to bed at night? This is such a part of our lives that phones actually have nightstand mode now as developers that you can develop for. Your smartphone is expected to be the first thing you look at in the morning when you wake up. It's expected to be the last thing you look at before you go to bed. It's such an intrinsic part of our lives that we simply expect it to be with us at all times. And what's especially interesting about these smartphones is as developers, we spend most of our time with 101 keys and a mouse, don't we? Do you have 101 keys and a mouse on your smartphone? No. No. So we want to think about how we interact with our smartphone. Think about all the ways we touch our phone. There's no keyboard on our phone, right? It's just glass. So we're typing on glass, we're tapping on glass so much of the time. But did you know that it's so much more than just a tap? It's a tap and it's a drag, it's a double tap. It's a pinch and a stretch. It's a swipe right. It's a pull down to refresh. Do any of you two-finger double tap on your phone? Do any of you three-finger triple tap on your phone? There's a whole language we use to interact with our phones. As a matter of fact, as you're talking to your phone with your fingers, if you were to pull the phone away, it would almost look like sign language, wouldn't it, as you're talking to your phone? You have a very rich language of gestures that you use to interact with your phone. And that's just using your fingers. How many of you talk to your phone? Now, not talk to people on your phone. I mean, talk to your phone. Yes? How many of you walk into a room where there is no one present and you simply begin talking and expect something to happen? We used to call that insanity, didn't we? Now we call it cutting edge technology. There is so much we do to talk to our phones that's not talking to other humans. This is just yet another way that we interact with the technology in our life. How many of you are developers in here right now? How many of you talk to your text editor or your IDE as you're programming? I've heard you. I've never heard such nasty words in my life. Of course, as developers, we talk to our IDE, we talk to our text editors. Did you know now that if you enable the new keyword accessibility.voice.keyword activation, you can now in VS Code say, "Hey, code," and begin having a conversation with your IDE. I would ask that you be more polite to your IDE than you have in the past, now that you know that your IDE is listening and might actually answer back. Voice has become quite an intrinsic way we interact with technology. And vision. I don't need to ask who looks at their phone. Of course, we look at our phone almost incessantly, don't we? Did you know that your phone is watching you as much as you are watching your phone? There are many ways that your phone watches you as you are watching your phone. I hear people say, "Oh, I don't use facial recognition on my phone. It's too easy to crack. I could just hold up a simple paper photograph to my phone and it would trick my phone." That's not the case at all. We're going to find that when your phone is looking at you, it's doing an incredibly sophisticated three-dimensional topographical map of your face as you are looking at your phone and interacting with you. There's quite a lot of sophistication going on with vision. So this simple slab of glass that we have in our pocket, we interact with through sign language, through our voice, and through the simple act of looking at our phone. I would like you to take your phone right now, if you would, please. If you're iPhone users, get into settings, open up your settings and look at Face ID and passcode. Please do. If you're an iPhone user, pull it out. If you're an Android user, please pull out your Android phone. I can see you. You're not pulling out your phones right now. I can see you. I'm watching you as you're watching me. Pull out your phone, please, if you're an Android user, and go under face recognition. If you're an iPhone user and you're under the Face ID and passcode setting, you can see that you can use your face to unlock your phone. You can use your face to make purchases from the iTunes store. You can use your face to authorize credit card transactions when you're in the grocery store. You can use it to autofill passwords. And do you see other apps? If you're in your iPhone and you're in this Face ID setting, tap in other apps if you would. What other apps do you have loaded on your phone that are using your face? I had a woman once say, "What does Domino's Pizza need to know about my face in order to order a pizza?" If you're on an Android phone and you're looking at the facial recognition portion of your settings right now, do you notice that your Android phone is looking at you? Do you see how your Android phone can require you to have your eyes open in order to interact with it? Can you see on your iPhone that your iPhone will check for attention before dimming the display or expanding a notification or for lowering the volume? Your phone is truly watching you as you're watching your phone. This is a two-way relationship you have with this piece of glass that is with you from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to bed. It's with you throughout the day. It's an ever-present part of your technology experience. As you install new software on your laptop, as you install new software on your tablets or on your phone, you get presented with screens like this. We've seen these accessibility screens. And what's interesting is when people hear the word accessibility, for some reason they hear the word disability. But disability appears nowhere on the screen at all. Accessibility, the root of this is simply how are we going to access this piece of technology? And it says right here that we can access it through vision, we can access it through touch, we can access it through hearing. Accessibility is simply how we access the technology in our life. And I like calling this multi-sensory architecture because it really is about delighting all of your senses, not just one. So many times as developers, we build one-dimensional user experiences that delight one of our senses, but ignore the other senses, or sometimes actively hostile to the other senses. Now, today we're only going to discuss the ways you interact with your phone through your eyes, through your ears, and through your fingers, through your hands. I won't ask you to raise your hand. Do any of you smell your phone? No. Do any of you taste your phone? Please don't answer. I don't want to know. You are more than welcome to interact with your phone using whatever senses you have available to you. I'll be focusing on eyes and ears and fingers. This is multi-sensory architecture. And if you don't believe that you use all of your senses as you interact with technology, let me go in real quickly and play a video for you. All right? One moment, let me play this for you. It's a very short video. I'll check back in with you at the end of this video. Let me know what you think. Thank you. What did you think? Are there any questions? Can we proceed? Yes, that was on purpose. Thank you so much, sir. So let me try it again with sound on. Perhaps that would help, yes? Watching video is truly a multisensory experience. I only gave you one of your senses. Let me give you another. Let me know what you think this time.
Hola, me llamo Scott Davis. Lo siento, no hablo español, solo palabras.
What do you think? Any questions? Shall we move on now? Es muy bien. Oh, muchas gracias. How many of you speak Spanish in here? Daniel Hinojosa speaks Spanish in here right now. He is my unit tester. He'll make sure about all this. All right, so I gave you visuals and you were not happy with it. I gave you audio and you were still not happy. You're a very needy audience. Do you realize that? Yes. Would you like me to turn on closed captioning? Would that help? Yes. All right. So I'll add a third sense to this. Here we go.
Hola, me llamo Scott Davis. Lo siento, no hablo español, solo palabras.
Now you can clearly understand what I was saying, right? How many more senses can I delight with you right now? I'm all out of senses with you. Now, I did play a trick with you. I mean that way. Closed captioning are captions that you can close, hence the name. Closed captions are also a text representation of the audio that you were hearing. You're hearing Spanish audio, so I provided you with Spanish captions to reflect the Spanish audio. If you don't speak Spanish, would you perhaps prefer subtitles instead? Perhaps I can give you English subtitles for the Spanish audio.
Hola, me llamo Scott Davis. Lo siento, no hablo español, solo palabras.
Is this finally clear? Yes. Just that simple example right there hopefully demonstrates to you that as end users, we use all of our senses that are available to us. When we as developers provide a one-dimensional user experience, hopefully you can see how unsatisfying that user experience is.
Hi, my name is Scott Davis. I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish, only words.
When we have all of our senses available, we sometimes take it for granted. We don't realize what's missing if we don't pay attention to all of the senses we use instead of some of them or one of them. So, we've talked about the sign language you use for your phones, the rich language of gestures you have to talk to your phone. Does your phone talk to you through the sense of touch as well? Is this a two-way communication? Does it reach out and poke you? Perhaps not. Are you familiar with haptic feedback? The buzz that your phone has. When are the times that your phone talks back to you through touch? When does your phone buzz? When you receive phone calls? When you receive texts? When you receive alerts? One of my favorite examples of haptic feedback is on my watch. When I'm using Apple Maps and I'm driving, my watch buzzes lightly on my wrist when it's time for me to turn. And as a matter of fact, my watch buzzes one way when it's time for me to turn left, and it buzzes a different way when it's time for me to turn right. There's a rich haptic language going on with Apple Maps and my phone and my watch. This haptic feedback is something that we use all the time. As JavaScript programmers, did you know this is literally a one line in JavaScript to make your phone vibrate? Did you know that this navigator.vibrate command is available in every browser on the planet? And this example right here is going to vibrate for 200 milliseconds, 2/10 of a second, go silent for 1/10 of a second, buzz for 2/10 of a second, go silent for 1/10 of a second, and so on. This is a one-liner for us as developers as we begin thinking about delighting all of the senses. Adding haptic feedback is there, it's available, it's free, it's waiting for you to take advantage. All right, this is your chance to pull out your iPhones and your Androids again, if you would, please. Pull out your phones. If you are an Apple user, would you go into your settings and look at sound and haptics? If you're an iPhone user, look for sound and haptics under settings. If you're an Android user, look for sound and vibrations. Android users, sound and vibrations. Apple users, sounds and haptics. We've talked about tapping on glass. It is very different than typing on a keyboard. On a physical keyboard, the key moves when you press it. Perhaps it clicks when you press it. There's a lot of sensations just by typing on a keyboard. You don't get that by typing on glass on your phone. So the iPhone suggests that if you go under sound and haptics and then keyboard feedback, it can play a sound as you tap on your keyboard. It can also provide a subtle buzz, provide subtle haptics as you type on your keyboard. As a matter of fact, I typically go in and turn off sound and turn on haptics. I don't need the click, click, click when I'm in a meeting or in a class, but that haptic feedback is sufficient for me to know that my phone and I are in sync. We're talking to each other. Android users, when you look under sound and vibrations, do you see that you can turn on vibrate while ringing? Do you see all the different ways your phone can interact with you when you've got an incoming call? Do you want to hear a sound? Do you want to have that haptic feedback? Do you want both? Yes? Your phone is using a variety of senses to interact with you, not just one. Not just one. Have you ever tapped in thin air? Tapping in thin air, how could that possibly be a real user interaction? If you have an Apple Watch, though, you can tap in midair and your display will change. This works on an Apple Watch Series 9. If you don't have an Apple Watch Series 9, I happen to have a demonstration for you. Notice that as he taps, the screen changes. Do you see the blue icon up top, that hand icon up there? This is the watch's way of informing you that it's received that tap, and it will be changing the screen accordingly. So, tapping in thin air is an entirely valid way of interacting with your devices. I'm not a fan of the term artificial intelligence, but I am a fan of the term machine learning. And when you are tapping in thin air, you are seeing machine learning in action. There are actually dedicated hardware chips on this phone that's paying attention. And what it's doing is it's focusing on the accelerometer, on the gyroscope, on the heart sensor. As you reach out and tap with your fingers, there are minute changes in blood flow that your watch is detecting in order to give you this feature. That is artificial intelligence right there. This is artificial intelligence on your wrist. You are using it every day. But what if you don't have a fancy new Series 9 Apple Watch? What if instead you have an Apple Vision Pro? Did you know by attending today, every delegate receives their own Apple Vision Pro? Reach under your chair right now. Congratulations. No, you don't believe me, do you? No, okay, all right. Well, how about I play you a video instead of how if you have an Apple Vision Pro, their VR goggles, you can literally tap in thin air with no watch whatsoever and get the same experience.
Apple Vision Pro has built-in accessibility features to support your needs, plus new features unique to the device. You can turn them on when you first set up the device, or anytime in settings. Here are some ways to personalize your experience. In the Home view, look at Settings, and then tap your fingers together to open it. Look at the sidebar on the left side of the window, and then pinch your fingers and gently flick up to scroll down. Now select Accessibility. Let's explore some accessibility features specific to Apple Vision Pro. While looking at the accessibility settings on the right side of the window, scroll down to the Physical and Motor section. Select Interaction.
If that wasn't an actual product you can go out and buy, I would suggest to you that's science fiction. These VR goggles from Apple have at least 3 sets of cameras that we saw in that video. As you put on the goggles, there's one set of outward-facing cameras that takes in the room and overlays what it needs to on top of it. There's a second set of cameras that are inward-facing that are watching your eyes. Did you hear him say, look to the left and gesture, look to the right and gesture? They're in inward-facing cameras that are tracking your eye movement, and based on where you're looking on the scene, that is where your focus exists. But then when they said, in thin air, attached to nothing, even without a watch on your wrist, can you scroll up and scroll down? Can you click to select elements in there? There's a third camera that is facing your hand, so in a very natural way, you can make gestures in the air, and the onboard artificial intelligence machine learning silicon is taking these gestures in the air and matching them with a scroll gesture or a tap gesture or a commit gesture. We are absolutely in the era where we don't need to make physical contact with anything anymore in order to interact richly with the technology in our lives. Amazing times we're living in, isn't it? So let's turn around and revisit once again sight and hearing and touch. We've just revisited touch, and we see how artificial intelligence, machine learning plays a factor in that. With vision, artificial intelligence and machine learning plays a fact in that. Google has a project called Media Pipe. It is completely free, completely open source, and Media Pipe is on-device machine learning, artificial intelligence. It's on-device machine learning for everyone. Everyone, including Android and iOS, web, desktop, Internet of Things devices. This software is free, it's open source, and it runs across all platforms. And it allows you to do things like facial recognition, just recognizing faces in the frame. But then it does more than that as well. It can do detailed facial mapping as well. It can do simple gesture recognition, so it can tell when you're giving a thumbs up or a peace sign or any other symbols you might be giving. So it can do gesture recognition. It can do pose recognition as well, so it can look at an entire person's body and see what pose they've adopted. But I'd be remiss if we didn't do a live demo of this. So here I am right now talking to you. I do look a little different, don't I? Everything. Let's come in here right now and let's change from an avatar renderer to a grid renderer so you can get a better idea of what's going on. Now, this is obviously real time. I'm on a Macintosh. I'm using Google Chrome, but this technology would work in Firefox. It would work in Microsoft Edge. It would work on my Android phone and my iPhone as well. You can see what this is doing is taking a detailed 3D topographical map of my face in real time, almost 300 points. It's detecting eyes. It can tell if I'm blinking my eyes as I go. It can see my mouth. It doesn't map my tongue, but perhaps in the next version it will. The fact that all of these are here and just available to us to play with. The fact that you can use MediaPipe Studio to do simple object detection. This is a cat, this is a dog. To do image segmentation, have you ever noticed how Zoom is allowed to give you virtual backgrounds? We now have that technology available to us for free, open source, written in JavaScript, runs across all your browsers. Gesture recognition and being able to come in here and demo these kinds of things, being able to see that this indeed can keep track of all the hands in the screen and all the gestures I happen to be using in order to do these kinds of things. This technology is not science fiction and it's not theoretical. It's right here, right now, open source, and available for us to use. Yeah? So we've talked about how vision and AI now works. Let's take a look at that.
For many people with blindness or low vision, there hasn't always been an easy way to capture daily life.
One face cropped. Move your phone down. One face in frame. Hold for photo.
Dinner for one. Hello.
One face and one head in frame.
Look who's here.
Two faces in frame. Two faces.
Good morning.
Two faces. Believe that.
First day in the new place.
Two faces. Two faces. Two faces in frame. Three faces in frame. Hold for photo.
Capture life, no matter how you experience it. Guided frame only on Google Pixel.
Isn't that just beautiful? Did you catch who was narrating that video? Stevie Wonder, the blind musician, the blind artist. Now, is this feature only available to you on the special accessibility edition of Android? Or is it available to you on every Android phone on the planet? Are these features available to you only in the disabled version of the iPhone? Or is this available to every iPhone user? This is just everyday technology. This is us right here, right now, using these kinds of things. So we've talked about artificial intelligence, machine learning, and touch. We've talked about artificial intelligence and machine learning and vision. Does artificial intelligence come in when it comes to hearing as well? Perhaps. Perhaps. When Steve Jobs introduced the original Macintosh on stage back in 1984, this is how he introduced the Macintosh.
But today, for the first time ever, I'd like to let Macintosh speak for itself.
Hello, Gids. It sure is great to get out of that bed. When accustomed as I am to public speaking, I'd like to share with you an action I thought of the first time I made an idea in this race. Never trust a computer too fastly. Obviously, I can say, but right now, I'd like to sit back and listen. So it is with considerable pride that I introduce a man who's been like a father to me, Steve Jobs.
What we just saw there was an example of speech synthesis. Text to speech. And text to speech has been with us since the very beginning, right? It certainly predates 1984. The ability to take written text and transform that into something we can hear is technology we use all the time. The next time you call a customer service number and someone or something tells you to press 1 to talk to sales, press 2 to talk to customer support, are you talking to a human there? You're talking to a computer using speech synthesis. And while getting your phone to vibrate is a one-liner, I apologize. Getting your phone to talk to you is, in fact, 2 lines of JavaScript. Available to you in every browser on the planet. If you create a new speech synthesis utterance, if there is any justice in the world, the second line, you would utter that utterance, but you don't utter it. Unfortunately, you speak it, but that's okay as well. In 2 lines, you can truly have your browser say anything. And this is the simplest example. Once you start adding regions to that, you can have your browser speak anything in a Hindi accent, in a Tamil accent, in an American accent, and in a British American accent, in a US American accent. There's obviously great nuance in this. So 2 lines for speech synthesis, but that's old news. That's been around for quite some time. What about speech recognition? Do you think your phone can understand what you say to it?
With voice control, you can navigate your iPhone and iPad with just your voice, which is helpful if you have limited mobility. We'll show you how to turn on voice control, how to use gesture commands, how to use overlays, and how to pause or turn off voice control. First, let's turn on voice control. You can ask Siri to turn on voice control, or you can turn it on in settings. Just scroll down and tap Accessibility. Then tap Voice Control and tap Set up Voice Control at the top of the screen. Voice control requires a short download before it's ready to use, but after that, it doesn't need Wi-Fi or cellular data to work. Now you can begin navigating your iPhone with just your voice. When voice control is turned on, a blue microphone appears in the top left corner of your screen. Let's check out some basic screen navigation commands. Go home. Swipe left. Swipe right. Open Notes. What can I say? This brings up a list of some of the most useful voice control commands. You can say, go back, to return to the previous screen.
Isn't that something? There's full parity. Any gesture that you have with your finger, there's a way you can express that same gesture with your voice. Swipe left, swipe right, pull down, go home. What can I say? Isn't that the killer feature right there? What can I say? So many people get intimidated when they buy their first smart speaker because that's what they think. They think, what can I say? And the problem with that smart speaker is you get paralyzed by the world of the infinite. Yes? Because it's really an unbounded grammar. There's no limit to what you could possibly say. The only limit is what that speaker can understand. So if I tried to say something like, hey, Siri, what was that one movie with that one actor who was with that other actress that I really liked back when I was a kid? There's no hope of Siri finding that, right? That's an example of unbounded grammar. But voice control on your phone is not unbounded grammar. It's in fact bounded grammar. And when you look at conversational UIs, conversational user interfaces, and you limit the words that people can use, it ends up being highly accurate and highly usable because they can zoom in and optimize on just the words. So if you have a bit of an accent or you are outside of that bell curve of what it's expecting to hear, you have a much higher likelihood of being heard and understood when you're using these bounded grammars. Swipe up, swipe down, go home. It can listen to those things. So if you think about the ways you're most successful communicating with your smart speakers, hey Siri, play a song. Hey Siri, play an album. Hey Siri, play an artist. Hey Siri, play a genre. You can see that most of the highly successful ways you interact with these speakers conversationally is through bounded grammars. I can play, I can pause, I can skip, I can next. These are a limited set of keywords that I can use to interact. Speech recognition is a fantastic use of artificial intelligence, a fantastic use of machine learning. And when this first was available to us, we had to round trip from the device to the cloud and back. That provided a poor user experience because of the latency. It provided a poor user experience because of the lack of privacy as well. All modern devices handle this on device. Anytime I'm speaking to an Apple device, I have an onboard machine learning chip. It does all of that on board. When I'm talking to an Android device, it has an onboard ML silicon on there to manage those kinds of things. The way you can test this is get into airplane mode and see how much you can still interact with your device. If you can still do those kinds of things when there's no internet connection, that's a pretty good indication that this is all happening privately, securely on the piece of glass in your hand. So this is multisensory architecture right here. But how does this behave in the real world? I've got another example for you.
I hesitated for a few seconds, and I realised the enormity of it, what it really meant. I'm 55 years old, and for the first time, I was able to call my son.
This is Matthew. He likes to swim in cold water.
After a swim, you feel alive.
Like really, really cold water.
I also swam across the English Channel.
But that's another story. Matthew is deaf.
People think if I got a hearing aid on, I could hear everything. And that's not true. I lip read most of the time. I have two boys, and they're both very important part of my life.
This is Matthew's youngest son. Hi, I'm Harry. He lives in Hong Kong and plays rugby.
I always want to keep in touch with him. Before, I need to communicate with him through Zoom or WhatsApp. I would try and lip read him. But it's really hard because it's not 3D, it's a flat screen. When I got the Google Picture phone, because the live capture picture, Harry was the first person I phoned. It was incredible. And we were talking for about half an hour. All of a sudden, he said, I was speechless for 3-4 seconds, and it realized what it really meant. I'm 55 years old, and for the first time in my life, I was able to call my son. It was wonderful. What you going to do? Mobile phone's been around for a long time, and yet hadn't been really fully accessible till now. That's what included me. You don't feel left out. Everybody feels the same.
Isn't that just lovely? Matthew was a colleague of mine at ThoughtWorks. This is absolutely a true story. He's the head of accessibility, global accessibility for ThoughtWorks. When we talk about this technology and the potential, I think it's the real world use cases that touch us the most. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that video and I have to wipe a tear out of my eye every time I watch it. I'm 54 years old as well. I have a son. That video speaks to me. This, my friends, is multisensory architecture. This is the state of the art. This should be our expectation for what technology can do for us. Technology should be able to delight all of our senses, not just one. We should be infuriated when we experience a one-dimensional technology experience. We should be infuriated. Technologists are letting us down by not delighting all of our senses. Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web. Tim Berners-Lee said the power of the web is in its universality. Access by everyone, regardless of disability, is an essential aspect. That's moving. That's a challenge. That's a challenge for all of us in here today. I hope we're up to the challenge. In addition to defining the HTML specification, in addition to defining the CSS specification, in addition to defining the HTTP specification, the XML specification, and so many more, the World Wide Web Consortium also provides the Web Content Accessibility Guideline, WCAG, one of the worst acronyms in technology, but we do with what we can. WCAG, the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Did you know that HTML is fully accessible as defined? Did you know that HTML has always been fully accessible as defined? The first time you could add an image to your web page was in the HTML 2.0 specification back in the early 1990s. If you go back and look at the HTML2 specification and look up images, it says right there, for every image, you should provide a source for the image, and you should provide alt text. Alternate text, so if that image cannot be displayed for any reason, there's still text there. If that image can't be displayed for every reason, or a user can't see that image for any reason, there's an alternate for them so they can fully experience that same content as you do as well. Did you know that over half of all images on the web today are inaccessible? 2/3 of all images on the web have no alt text. Some of those images have an alt text of img0001.jpj. Is that good alt text? No, of course not. Of course not. This is our challenge. When I'm building a physical building in physical space, there are accessibility laws I'm required to follow. And many people complain saying, oh, I have to provide extra parking spots. I have to provide special bathroom stalls so people can use this. Is going to the bathroom a special need? Or is it something that we all experience? But this is where the metaphor falls down. Because what if you were presented with a building that already had accessible bathroom stalls, and as a developer, you bricked over those stalls and you disabled the accessibility that was inherent in the platform? This is what we're facing today. This is what we're facing today. People think that there's something extra I have to do in order to make my web pages accessible. In fact, it's just the opposite. You need to get out of the way. You need to let the native accessibility of the platform shine through and not actively suppress the accessibility that already exists on the platform that we professionally develop on. The Web Content Accessibility Guidelines go through a number of different things for us to look for. As developers, we see things like, oh, video alternatives. Oh, so it's important that if I have a video, it's also important that I provide closed captions. Did you know that 85% of all Facebook videos are watched with closed captions on and the sound off? That percentage is higher for TikTok. That percentage is higher generationally as well. My 22-year-old son watches videos with closed captions on exclusively. He grew up watching Japanese anime. And there are two different ways you can watch Japanese anime, animated films, right? You can watch it with dubbed audio, so it's an English soundtrack to the Japanese visuals. But you know what the cool kids do? The cool kids aren't into dubs, they're into subs. The cool kids are into subtitles. So young Christopher watches the original Japanese visuals with the original Japanese audios and English subtitles. So he feels that gives him the fullest experience. Imagine if you're producing video for your website right now and you say, well, I never watch closed captions, so it must not be important. I don't even think to check for it. Generationally speaking, you've missed it. In addition to video alternatives, there need to be text alternatives. I consult for large clients. I had a client that was rolling out a new online shopping cart, 20,000 new items in the shopping cart, 20,000 new images of things, of products that they wanted people to buy. They happen to sell tractors. So I said, if someone is interested in buying a baseball hat with a green tractor on it, how do you suppose your potential consumers are going to find a baseball hat with a green tractor on it? Are they perhaps going to go into a web search engine and type in the words green baseball hat tractor? Does that sound like alt text to you? I said, if you are rolling out 20,000 new images in your catalog and you don't have 20,000 instances of alt text, that's what your potential buyers are most likely going to type in to a search engine in order to find this so they can buy this item. You must not be interested in sales then. You must not be interested in SEO, search engine optimization. I take a yes and approach to digital accessibility with all my clients. Yes, we should have alt text for all of our images because that's how we support our blind and low vision users. And we should have alt text on our images because that's how we support all of our other users as well. Yes, we should have closed captions on all of our videos to support our deaf and hard of hearing users. Yes, and we should have closed captions on all of our videos to support all of our other users as well. This is a concept called universal design. Universal design, which says the technology should work for everyone. If you go to apple.com/accessibility, for a long time they said, here at Apple, we don't make technology for some of the people, or even most technology for all the people. That's universal design. These web content accessibility guidelines can be summarized like this. They say in order for your website presented in ways simply that they can perceive. And if you provide them an image and they can't perceive that, they need alt text. If you provide them with a video and they can't perceive that, you need audio. And if they can't perceive that, you need subtitles. And if they can't perceive that, you need closed captions as well. The content on your website must be perceivable. It has to be available to all of the senses, not just one. The information on your website needs to be operable, not just through a keyboard and a mouse. We need to be able to tap on our glass. We need to be able to speak to it. We need to be able to look at it and use eye tracking and use gestures in thin air to be able to operate the technology in our lives. We need to be able to use all of our senses to operate this technology, not just one. In order for your website to match the web content accessibility guidelines, it needs to be understandable. The information in operation must be understandable across all of your senses. And it must be robust. And that is the challenge to you as developers. If you develop a website that is one-dimensional, that is weak, not robust. If you develop a user interface that only serves one of the senses, that's a good start, but you're not done yet. It's your challenge as web developers to make your technology robust. It's your challenge as developers to make sure your technology delights all of our senses, not just one. And that, my friends, is digital modernization through accessibility. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Mr. Scott Davis, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Now, how many people here in that inspiring keynote learned something new? Yeah. How many people during that keynote were inspired to do more and be better today than you were yesterday? And by applause and cheer, how many of you love this man, Scott Davis? And my friends, we are just getting started. And you know, I first learned about accessibility on the web through SEO at a time when everybody was trying to teach us all the little tricks, all the little techniques to get those backlinks on all of these things. And I did a handful of simple things because I wanted my magician website to rank better on the web. I wanted my page to come up higher in the Google search rankings. And I didn't do any of these weird little tricks, any of these clever little hacks. I just took my webpage and I made it expressive. I used an H1 tag, a level 1 heading when it was a level 1 heading. A level 2 heading when it was a level 2 heading. I added the alt text. And I didn't need anything tricky at that point. When I fully communicated in my HTML, what that page did, I rocketed to the top of the search results. And everybody asked me, they said, how did you do this? Who did you hire? What did you buy? And I just delighted one more sentence. Now, if you thought that was inspiring, I promise you, friends, the day is just getting started. And I'm very excited to introduce our next keynote speaker. We have Sridhar Gade, who is the Vice President of Engineering at Freshworks. He's got an impressive career spanning over 2 decades in leading technology, financial, and internet organizations, including Yahoo, including Microsoft. He is a recognized leader, an entrepreneur, a speaker, an author, and he's going to be talking to us about an AI-first mindset. One more time, by applause. How many of you are excited about AI? Well, we have more to come, and it's very exciting to see what Freshworks is doing. Please give a warm welcome to Sridhar Gade.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hey, we are all in Bangalore, and it's a Friday afternoon. The best thing to do is actually stay back home, probably get some, much needed rest. But I think all of us have two great responsibilities today. One is to vote, right, and choose, our next best government, and the second one is to learn more about AI. How about that? So this is Sri Gade. I head cloud engineering and responsible AI for Freshworks. And today, I'm going to actually walk you through a very interesting 8-year journey of generative AI in Freshworks. So whether you are a CXO or a founder of a company who are trying to build, a successful startup based in AI, or you are any technologist who would like to actually learn and move forward, you might find this, kind of interesting, the journey that we took and all the learnings that we had so far. But before we jump into Freshworks journey, let's look at why part, because the why will kind of create a purpose in terms of why we are doing what we are doing today, right? So, anyone you ask about generative AI, I think this is a buzzword today, right? Irrespective whether you're a student, you're a technologist, you're in a pharmaceutical company or a construction business, generative AI has to be on your website and on your resume. Yes or no? So the purpose, when you look at it, I keep asking folks, what do you think about generative AI? Is this another technology transformation? Most of the folks think this is just another, a decade-long technology, and then something else will actually come in. Some folks think this is probably once in a century kind of a transformation, like you can see on the slide, is that this is here to stay for the entire century, and then probably disrupt the business as we know it. But the way I see it is this. The overall human existence has been around for about 18 million years, but for last 35,000 years, Homo sapiens have been in existence. Since then, there's one thing that did not change: is not a single living being or non-living being challenged human intellect. Okay, and that's about to change this century, and that's why I kind of zoomed out to 18 million years. It's not a decades phenomena. It's not a century phenomena. It is actually the phenomena of the entire life as we know it, and that's exactly why we are here in this room on a Friday afternoon here in Bangalore, right? So now that I got your attention, let's jump into the journey of Freshworks and see how we actually took our journey. That's me. We just spoke about it, and then this slide basically talks about our journey. We started. The Freshworks was founded in 2010 in Chennai. And it is the first SaaS product company which is born out of India and went public in NASDAQ. And one of the fastest growing software company where we make customer support software, ITSM software, and CRM, and compared with who's who in the market. Over last 8 years, around 2016, we introduced ML and AI to our products, and we started experimenting with the BERT models and then basic GPT ones of the world, where and some of the SLMs as well, to see like how we can actually enhance our customer experience. And slowly that got transformed. Like in a couple of years later, we started talking about how do we kind of expand it beyond. Initially, we started with the customer support software because Freshworks was called Freshdesk, and that was our brand name. And we are a single product company as well at that time, and entire product basically had this platform of AI, where we started actually slowly empowering the agents in that Freshdesk software using AI. And we slowly expanded that to ITSM and CRM products as well, where depending upon if you're doing a marketing campaign, how do you actually automate it using AI, and so on and so forth. And as we learned more and then see a lot of adoption, and then our models also started improving a lot. And we had two types of approaches. One is self-built models, where we call it discriminative models. You kind of train them based on the anonymized data that we have from millions and millions of tickets that we have from customer usage, and kind of enrich them in different domains. But at the same time, you also have generative models, where models which are actually trained on maybe 100 billion or 150 billion parameters and trillions of tokens, which could actually do a kind of generic use cases. So over time, we also got into personalization and data enrichment, and also giving very deep analytics and insights. And today, fast forward to 2024, I'm sure a bunch of you are working on flowless bots and assistant APIs, agents, and I think future is becoming more and more exciting because if you're into this business, and you will realize that once you start implementing the OpenAI's flowless bots or assistant API, or now Google is talking about agents, you could actually deflect anywhere between 40 to 50% of all your customer queries, and that's phenomenal. And just a beginning of what is actually coming and how we are going to actually disrupt this market. So that's about our journey. And then today, if you look at it, we actually took in a platform approach. So today we have about 8 different products, and we serve across 4 different regions in the world, and 120 countries is where our customers are. And but then we have one single platform, we call it Freddy. So Freddy basically cuts across all our products, and then it has 3 different sets of I would say AI-based feature sets, right? First one is a self-service. Self-service is going to kind of a friend to your customer's customer. It basically means that that person does not need to create a ticket. Whatever help you need, you'll be able to just go and get it done by yourself. So that's basically what percentage of self-service is actually these tools are enabling. That kind of defines the effectiveness of use cases you are building in these models. Second one is Copilot. I think that's after generative AI, Copilot is probably the most popular word that you are seeing everywhere, used in different capacities and different meanings. So in Microsoft world, Copilot is nothing but they basically improve your productivity to the next level. Whether you're a developer, you're an M365 user, you're creating a PPT, it doesn't matter. So in Freshworks context, the Copilot will actually works very closely with the agents. In case if you have an ITSM help desk engineer, Copilot basically automatically generates articles for you, automatically looks at the tickets and be able to summarize everything that customer is talking about, automatically comes up with the solutions based on the previous root cause analysis, and so on and so forth. So at this point today, we have close to 70 to 80 different use cases, and we also have close to about 20 plus models that we have built internally, and then a couple of other external integrations with Azure OpenAI and OpenAI as well. So I spoke about what part so far. So what Freshworks did, right? Just to get a context. And now I'm quickly going to cover about how part, what kind of approach we took and how it kind of helped this company. So like I said, depending upon where you are in your career, you'll be able to kind of relate if you are in this AML journey. And I kept these slides very, very simple. And it's basically, you're talking about ideation, execution, and governance. Some of these principles that I'm kind of listing is kind of also apply for the regular software engineering or also SaaS product building. But then I think more so for especially generative AI world. So let's talk about the first part. right? So it's very easy to get distracted in this world of generative AI, where you are actually looking at a lot of press happening every time Amazon or Microsoft, OpenAI or Google coming up with a new keynote. You're seeing a lot of new features coming in. But as a technologist, maybe you're a CTO or you're a head of technology, or you're probably an AI engineer, a data scientist. What do I do for my company, my product? It's a lot of distraction around, and it's very important for us to actually stay focused. And that's why the first part I was talking about is, hey, if there are 10 different features I'm giving to the customer through my SaaS product, this is non-AI features, what will actually make it to the generative AI? So we want to slowly go away from FOMO and start doing the real stuff, right? If you don't find any use case, don't build it, right? But then if you actually do find it, then take it to the out of the box thinking. And then, so another thing that we learned over time is we are not going to get any use case right from the day one. It has to be iterative. It has to be fail forward mechanism. And that's why the pipelines that we are building, the approach that you are building, actually you set it up, explain it to the team, explain your tools and your system, is that you're actually bound to fail in most of the scenarios than you actually did in a traditional SaaS scenario. One good example, if you're actually rolling out, say, an article generation for an ITSM product to your customers, in a traditional SaaS scenario, you build a code and code would do what you want it to do. And that's about it, nothing else, right? But then in the generative AI scenario, you're actually using a large language model, and then you are actually using prompts and probably some kind of a tuning and training for it to actually behave it slightly differently than what you wanted to do. So here, the outcome or what customer is going to see, and the value that customer is going to get, and the adoption that customers are going to have is completely vary time to time. And that's why it's very important to have this agile MLOps pipeline and continue to iterate and fail fast. So this is one of the tools that we used in our company, where how do you actually evaluate? Because you have thousands of developers working on multiple different features across products, and everyone is busy actually going through their sprint cycles. But then what features will actually make it to AI and what will not? And this matrix kind of helps you to kind of identify what features, and then some of the tools will basically talk about how do you actually score both in terms of the business value and feasibility. One good example I can tell you, there could be a use case where your customers want or your GTM teams need this to be in generative AI. There is a business value. Most likely you might be able to monetize it and make some revenue out of it, right? But then it may not be feasible today. The LLMs that are available or the features that are available with the AI is probably not there yet, especially when you're talking about multimodal scenarios where being able to go through the videos, make sense out of it, and then actually interpret in the LLM and come back with the responses. One good use case I can think of it, how do we actually build a flowless bot which will actually interview your candidates going forward, which means all your recruitment is actually online. So your AI agent will have a personality, someone they can see, but they can basically talk to an agent, talk to an interview, the candidate, right? And the candidate keeps talking. So the agent will know, automatically kind of assume a data scientist job description and know-how, and start throwing those questions to that particular person, and then basically be able to evaluate the person's proficiency in the subject. But not only that, they look at the body language, they look at probably some cultural aspects and everything else. So scenarios as complex as this, we are not there yet. GPT-4 vision, and then some of the Google Vertex models are able to do it. But then most of the companies I think we are starting with the text generation and text manipulation and so on and so forth. So so this slide is all about, and it's a busy slide, but this slide is all about the adoption of generative AI cannot be business as usual for the CTOs. It has to be deliberate, so you have to build a right team. So a lot of questions keep coming. How do you actually do you upskill the existing folks? Do you actually hire? It's a combination of both. So this is all about what we went through in last 8 years in building data scientists, to building AI-enabled engineers to be able to churn out the features that we have been actually doing. Some of the things that we learned, I think if I have to just summarize, is use everything as a platform approach. So folks will not duplicate the work across your business units, because especially your failure rate on your use case when the customer is adopting is so high, will not be able to afford to have multiple teams innovating on the same thing. So have a just like what Freshworks did, like the Freddy platform, it basically abstracts all the LLMs to the developer. They'll just get an API and then they basically get done with it, and they'll be able to actually use it to build their use cases. So this is my favorite slide. Everyone talks about what great stuff you can do with AI, but very few folks talk about what can go wrong with AI. So like I said in my first slide, the super intelligence, the singularity, and all the great stuff you see in sci-fi movies. Some of us could be skeptical, but then folks at OpenAI and Microsoft and some of these large companies like Meta are very, very worried and concerned about it. So there is a consortium being formed at the top level, like with the governments of United States, India, and various other large countries to actually come up with some kind of best practices. But this is the Freddy Guardian framework that we built in Freshworks to basically, on the left side you see all the Freshworks products. On the right side, all the models that we access, both internal and external. And then the Guardian will actually take care of the safety, security, and RBAC, and all the great stuff. And then this happens in a sub-millisecond kind of a latency, where every prompt that goes to the LLM and every response that comes back, kind of scanned and either blocked or transformed if they detect any malicious or intent or anything that can actually abusive, any red flags essentially. Right. So with that, that's my last slide. So the final takeaway, Tim, I know the 15 minutes is actually very short, but then I basically wanted to share exactly all the super exciting 6 years to 8 years journey that we had at Freshworks. But this is just beginning for all of us. We are just getting started to disrupt the market, and the final takeaways is I think it's very simple, right? So I like the future part. So ignorance is not a bliss anymore. So we got to know that this is a wave, and then we want to actually go ahead and ride it. How it depends upon where you are, which kind of a domain you are right now, and what state of your career. But I think this is going to apply for everyone. And at Freshworks, we are super excited for what's coming next. Thank you so much.
Srihar Gade, everybody.
Thank you.
And this is so valuable because you see the innovation that Freshworks is doing. And then we have visionaries like this man telling us how to make it practical and pragmatic. And we are still not done. By a show of hands, or by applause. Let's do it by applause. By applause, how many of you love magic? I am reminded of Arthur C. Clarke's third law that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And when I first saw what IKEA was doing with AR and interactive room design, to me, that looked like magic. And we're going to learn a little more about how IKEA is transforming the industry sector and is leading the charge in technology. We have the global VP for technology heading the entire fulfillment and supply chain agenda, and we're going to dive even deeper into this. Ladies and gentlemen, folks, friends, please join me in welcoming Aravind Raju.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I have the privilege of having this talk right before lunch, but I will do my best. Right. Today, I want to talk about how technology is transforming companies like IKEA, really taking IKEA from a cash and carry retailer into an omni-channel retailer. But before that, I want to start with what is IKEA and where are we coming from? The beautiful armchair that you see is my favorite product in IKEA. It's called Poeng. It's simple, beautifully designed, and made up of sustainable materials. These are some things that are very close to IKEA values. Hello, my name is Aravindan, and I lead technology globally for fulfillment and supply chain for IKEA. IKEA is world's largest home furnishing company, right? With a very ambitious vision. What is the vision? We create a better everyday life for the many people. Right from the beginning, we decided to side with the many people with our products that are very accessible and affordable for the many people. We are not a new company. We are 80 years old. We started off in a small town in Sweden called Älmhult. If you look at the picture, what you see here is our first warehouse, which is 80 years old. This is where our founder started selling pens and matches. Throughout the 80 years history, what is really constant about IKEA is we have been known for innovations and we have been known for transformations. I can give you a couple of examples throughout our history, right? The first example, decades back, instead of selling single pieces of furniture, what we did was we created the entire home design in our store. So our customers could come in and look at the entire room design and the home design and get inspired. Several decades back, this was extremely innovative and we got lot of footfall and a lot of customers coming in. The second innovation that I can point to, which actually revolutionized IKEA supply chain, is instead of selling assembled furnitures, we started selling easy to assemble furnitures in a flat packs. Right? This revolutionized from a couple of perspectives. From a customer perspective, then customer could come into our store, they could pick up the flat packs, like you see in the picture, they could put it in their cars, and then they could take it home. From an IKEA perspective, it also completely revolutionized the way we do supply chain. Instead of carrying assembled furniture, we were shipping flat packs, which was very efficient and cost effective. This is our iconic blue box. We have one in Bengaluru, Nagasandra. Usually they are around 5 lakh square foot, right? They are extremely huge because we want our customers to come in and we want our customers to experience the complete home design. But in order to reach a lot more customers in densely populated urban areas, we are also starting off with smaller store formats. And really, technology is helping us in reaching many customers in the smaller store formats. We will talk about it in a couple of minutes later. From a small town in Sweden, in Älmhult, now we are a 40 billion euro business. We have 482 stores across the world in 31 countries. What is more important today when we talk about some of the technology transformations is 40% of our sales is coming through home deliveries. So therefore, we are not a cash and carry retailer anymore. We are truly an omni-channel retailer, and we are looking at 50% of sales next year. IKEA stores are relatively new in India. We have 5 stores now. We do e-commerce in few of the cities. But what is important to know is IKEA is not new to India. We have been doing business in IKEA close to 4 decades. We have been sourcing a lot of materials from India, especially textiles and carpets. We have around 50,000 employees directly employed. And this is our vision. Even though home furnishing remains extremely close to our heart, that is the heart of what we do, but we also want to go a little bit beyond furniture. We are now getting into things like clean energy, financial services, and also services that are related to maintaining your house, home decoration, etc., etc. Everything connected to making your life at home much, much, much better. So this is our vision. 5 years back, we embarked on a big digital transformation. A digital transformation with a twist. We wanted to do it with human centricity. Have a look.
Everything and everyone are connected, everywhere and all the time. People expect that we are too. And that's where the magic happens. By understanding our customers better through data, we can surprise, inspire, and delight. We always put people first, and will only use data and technology as a force of good. As we level up our ambitions to create better homes, better lives, and a better planet. Staying true to our values and with a genuine passion for life at home, We're bringing the IKEA uniqueness to life, digitally. Our aim is clear. Being human-centric all the way, we will create fair, inclusive, and transparent digital solutions to spark a positive change in society. We'll reach and connect with more of the many people, leading by example to inspire others to follow, now and for generations to come.
Now, every single thing we do after the digital transformation is enabled by technology. I want to take you through some of the technology that is truly transforming our business. These are only few examples, but I want to talk you through that. The first example that I want to touch upon is something that I touched upon in my introduction, right? Where IKEA is getting into smaller store formats. Right? We don't operate at 5 lakh square foot anymore. We wanted to have smaller stores in densely populated urban areas. Then what it means is we cannot have the same home design experience that our customer has in a big store because of the space limitations. What we created in the smaller stores is this immersive experience application, where with a click of a button, the customer could experience multiple home designs and bring alive multiple room designs as well. They can mix and match, they can try out whatever design they want, even more than their bigger store. And needless to say, with a click of a button again, whichever design of the furniture they like, they'll be able to order it. So this is a super hit in terms of how we interact with our customer in our smaller store formats. And this is well liked. Talking about customer experience, what IKEA did well in the previous decades is basically bringing alive the home design. Right? When customers come into our stores, the first thing they will observe is different room designs, get inspired, etc., etc. But we wanted to democratize this. We really wanted to put that capability in everyone's hand. With using technologies like spatial computing, augmented reality, and also a bit of AI, what we did was we created an app with which the customers could scan their own room, living spaces, and they could put whatever IKEA furniture they want to put and imagine how would it look like when they redesign their whole home. You know what is cool about this? They can even erase their existing furniture that they have today so they can reimagine what is the possibility with multiple IKEA furnitures. And now every single customer that we have today is a home designer by themselves. I'm extremely proud of the democratization that this brings in. This is well liked and being widely used across all countries. Well, we talked about customer experience and how we interact with our customers, but the technology innovations did not stop there. It also transformed how we did supply chain. It's a little bit close to me because of my job. In all our stores and warehouses, we use drones with machine learning to count inventory. This is drastically changing how inventory is counted and how accurate it is. This has completely eliminated the manual task of counting inventory manually. There are multiple other use cases as well, right? We are just exploring this. The other use cases are, from a safety perspective, the drones are able to scan if the pallets are really placed right in the rack. Is it a safety risk or not? It can also identify damaged pallets and damaged goods. So we are exploring a lot of use cases, but right now, the inventory count and the elimination of manual workaround has been fantastic. Talking about, again, continuing my theme on fulfillment innovations, now customers demand convenience on fulfillment, right? They want very convenient fulfillment options. One of the convenient fulfillment option is actually for us to deliver IKEA goods into a locker box. The locker box could be in your store, or it could be in a public place like a subway station, subway railway station. What we do is we generally deliver the goods into the locker boxes so that the customers can come in and collect from the locker box at their convenience. The locker boxes are accessible 24/7, hence the convenience bit of it. What you see in this video is actually the technology innovation that we did in terms of automating the loading the lockers. We have complex optimization algorithm that figures out which order should go into which locker box and automatically loads the goods into the locker boxes. And then it communicates back to the customer with a secret code so that the customer can come in and collect from the locker boxes whenever it is available. And this is widely used across Europe and North America. And most of our stores now have these locker box facilities. This is again, during COVID, this was extremely transformational, right? Where we did not want to have contact. Rather, most of our deliveries went through locker boxes when customer wanted to do click and collect, which avoided human interactions. Again, my previous speaker talked about generative AI a lot. We strongly believe in IKEA that generative AI is going to substantially, fundamentally alter how we interact with our customers. And we have an app in the OpenAI GPT store. We are calling it IKEA AI Assistant. You could ask questions to the app like, can you give me a home design? For example, one of the questions that I asked recently, can you give me the home design for a cozy living room with all sustainable materials within IKEA? You could generate multiple home designs, which then you could order from the same app. You could also post a picture of an existing furniture that could be IKEA or non-IKEA, and then ask the app to generate something that is similar. You could have a lot of questions to IKEA via this app. You could have questions about our reviews, our products, our service levels, our store openings, etc., etc. So this is truly becoming an assistant to the customer. And again, this is only piloted in US. We are learning a lot already in US. We are figuring out what is working and what is not working. We talked about a lot of technology innovations. None of it is possible without our people. We have around 5,000 professionals working in IKEA Digital across 8 different hubs. We have hubs in Sweden, Spain, Netherlands, US, in India, as well as in China. This is our beautiful hub in India. We are calling it Banyan Holt. It is in Carley Town, next to Manyata. And I work from there as well. It's beautiful. We are organized as product teams across the value chain. That means we have jobs from 4 different families: engineering, product, data, and user experience. And we generally have openings across the board in all the hubs. We talked about a lot of technology that is enabling IKEA, but at the heart of it, it's our people. So if you want to meet our people, come and hang with us in our booth in 28. As we say in Swedish, tack, thank you very much. Have a splendid, splendid Friday, folks.
Aravind Raju, everybody. What an incredible start to the day. We had 3 interesting, inspiring, and actionable keynotes. And what excites me the most is the incredible things that we can do with technology today, and how all of us, every single one of us, has a part to play in shaping this future. Now, we're going to break for lunch, and our next sessions are going to start at 12:30. We'll be breaking into 5 parallel sessions in 5 different halls. Be sure to check your program guide for the maps for the locations of the hall and the schedule. And between sessions today, we have a 10-minute switching time. So do take care of that and take advantage of that time. Thank you so much. And here's to the best day to cap off a fantastic event. Thank you all so much.